you are driven by salary from day one, then, then you will maybe earn some good money, but I don't think it's very sustainable. My name is Sylvain Newton. I live in Munich in Germany, but as you might hear from my accent, I'm French of origin, and I just started my own business, my own consultancy a few days ago, in fact, early Jan. And before that, I spent about 25 years in corporate, mostly with Hilton Corporation, the hotel chain, then with GE, the American conglomerate, and the past 6 years with Allianz, which is a German insurance company. So I grew up in the suburb of Paris, not far from Paris, but still the suburb. And I had a passion from a very young age. I think I was about 5 years old when I told my mother, later I will have a restaurant. And I told her as well, and by the way, you will get a special price if you come and visit me. But my passion was to have my own restaurant. And I don't know why. I think I always enjoyed the meals home when my mom would cook, invite friends, invite the family. I always tried to help her in the kitchen and bringing the dishes to the guests, which, you know, is important as part of the French culture. And so that was my dream from the time I was 5 years old. So I never wondered what I wanted to do because I felt that was what I wanted to do. And so when I turned about 14, 15, I decided to go to catering school. At the time when I was going, I think it was that would be the equivalent of about 10th grade. And I entered the catering school in Paris, and I did 7 years there. Starting with service and kitchen, doing the housekeeping. As you can imagine, a very hands-on education. So you had a little bit of let's say, general culture, but still was very hands-on. And we would spend all the holiday as well doing internship in restaurant, in hotels. And because I love that, I would spend as well time on the weekend to go and do some jobs for a wedding, for some private party in people's home, earning a little bit of money. And that's really when school started to make sense for me. And when I started getting better results, because I felt I loved doing that stuff. And I did that for 7 years in Paris. And then I continued and did 2 years in Strasbourg and did a master's degree in hotel management. But that came later. I really just wanted to be in a restaurant and get the atmosphere and be in service to the people and create an experience for them. So I start. My main focus has been around leadership development. Somehow I ended up in leadership development, which is about developing the leaders or the managers, if you want, that you find in most corporations. So people that are responsible for people. And so an example of that would be when I led the corporate university of GE. So company, specifically the large one, have their own university or academy because they need to develop skills in their employee that the classical schools or university will not bring. Typically something much more practical or relevant to the environment that we operate in. And I led the corporate university from GE, which was very exciting because GE is quite renowned for leadership development, take it very seriously, develop people from a very young age, give them tools and skills to grow as a leader. And I did that. We were doing about, let's say, 5,000 intervention a year in 52 countries. And that company being an industrial conglomerate, typically you go first into very remote places because you need to build oil and gas field in Africa. You need to build locomotive in Kazakhstan. You need to build healthcare system in China. So you go first into quite, let's say, edgy places. And you arrive in places where you find people that don't have yet those skills. And so part of the system is not only to build the factory, but build the leader that will be able to develop the people there. So that's what I was part of. And I have to say it was a very exciting role. One thing I learned along the way is that most careers look very elegant, but only in retrospect. So when you read somebody's biography, when you read a CV, when you read a book about somebody, you say, wow, oh, he or she did that, and then she did that, and then oh, she got that experience. Oh, okay, that got that next role, and then all came together, and they got this big role, and or they aspired their dream, whatever their dream was. But the reality is, when you look back, when you are in it, it looks very foggy, and you don't know what's next, and you wonder what's next, and you are scared because you don't know if you have a next job, if it's an exciting one, if the right decision. And so I don't think there is a path which lies ahead of you, and that when you are 15, 10 or 20, you can be clear what you will be when you turn 40. I think most people at 40 are in a role that maybe didn't even exist when they were 15. And I'm doing stuff today I didn't know existed, because when you go to catering school, you don't learn about leadership development. I did a role in Six Sigma. You don't learn about applied statistics to processes. You don't learn all those things. So I think the process of discovery is perfectly fine. And I wouldn't put too much pressure on myself to start with, because there is no recipe, there is no book. And if you read stories of people, again, that have realized what their dreams were, they do not always knew very early on what they wanted to do, or if they knew, sometimes they ended up doing something else. But try to see if you can find some patterns about yourself. Are you more a number person? Do you like to read books? Do you like to draw things? Do you need to see things visually? I would try to explore all those questions to see what kind of role could be good for somebody. And at the end of the day, you never know. I remember a friend of mine, when I was discussing with her, I said, what do you want to do later? And she was 17 at the time. And she said, I want either to be physiotherapist or I want to be a graphic designer. And the two things seem so opposed to me. And a few months later, she had found a job. I said, what do you do? She said, I work in a bank. Yeah, and so life had happened that way. And now she has been in that bank for 10 years and she truly enjoys it. She's at the front desk, she welcomed the people, and she liked the combination of creating experience for those people coming in and all the numbers things. Nothing to do with physiotherapist and graphic designer, and that's okay too. So your ecosystem, as you call it, your friends, your professor. The first job I got as a wine waiter in Austria was through a professor who knew somebody who knew somebody. And so, yes, you have that ecosystem of people that you need to tell them what you are looking for. How can somebody help you if they don't know what you want? So trying to be a bit clearer about what you want and making it known is the first step of informing your ecosystem, as you say. But the other thing I would say, and sometimes when I do some coaching like you do in your program with people, and they say, look, I'm trying to get a job somewhere and I've already sent 10 emails and I got no response and they are very disappointed, then I share my story of 200. And 200 handwritten letters with a stamp on each of them that I was sending every day. I had a goal of sending 5 a day, and I did that every day until I got an answer. At times, you just have to go through it and be persistent, and it's tough. But I do believe that if you really want it and you fight for it, at some point things match. And I was lucky enough that I found the ad at the right time. They were looking for somebody, but struggled to find the right profile and gave me a chance. And at times those things come together because you are persistent. And very important as well, as you mentioned, young people and maybe how you pick a role. I was choosing a leader as well. I went to that role because I had met somebody where I felt with that person I can grow. And not driven by the salary. Salary was never a motivation when I started. I remember discussing it with somebody who at the time was much older than I was. Maybe he was 35. He felt old to me when I was starting. And he said, one day salary will be a motivation for you. And I said, I don't know. I don't feel like. And of course, at some point, if you need to invest in a mortgage or whatever, you need to invest in a car, money start becoming important. But when I started, I really didn't care because I wanted the role that matched what I wanted to do, and I wanted a leader and an environment where I could learn. And I think if you have both, things come together at some point for you. If you are driven by salary from day one, then you will maybe earn some good money, but I don't think it's very sustainable.